Now let's introduce hydrates. When you say something is hydrated, it means that it's full of water, right? So hydrates are compounds that have a specific number of water molecules attached to them, and those water molecules can be removed by heating. The first hydrate I'm showing you is barium chloride dihydrate. These two gives us that prefix part of the hydrate, dihydrate, two water molecules. The decimal point there shows us that this compound is a hydrate. Barium chloride contains the water. Now, without the water, if you heat barium chloride, and it's a common experiment we do in the lab with hydrates, if you heat it, if you heat barium chloride dihydrate, you're going to get barium chloride by itself and the two molecules of water that are going to be lost. Whatever is left without the water is what we call anhydrous, meaning without water. That's what anhydrous means. So the opposite of hydrate is anhydrous. Anhydrous. We have another hydrate here, lithium chloride monohydrate. There's only one water. The one is implied, so we say mono. And then you have magnesium sulfate with 7, that is heptahydrate. So magnesium sulfate, heptahydrate. So if you heat up magnesium sulfate heptahydrate, you will end up with magnesium sulfate by itself and 7 portions of water, and that will be anhydrous magnesium sulfate. And then you have strontium nitrate, 4 is tetrahydrate. So strontium nitrate tetrahydrate. So that's how you name hydrates. Okay, and I believe there are common hydrates that you have come across in life. One example is Epsom salt. So one of them is Epsom salt and is usually found as magnesium sulfate heptahydrate. Now you have another hydrate here. This is copper sulfate pentahydrate because it has 5 there, 5 portions of water, so we would call this pentahydrate. Now this is usually blue, but once you heat it up, it's gonna change from blue to white. This is the white stuff that is left. We lose the 5 portions of water, so this is gonna be called anhydrous copper. By the way, it's copper 2 sulfate. You have to define the oxidation number because copper can be copper 1 or copper 2. Okay. So here are common and systematic names of some compounds. We are talking about common and systematic name of compounds, table 2.7. Now H2O, you'll know that is water, written as formula, molecular formula H2O. The systematic name, because this is completely covalent and molecular, so you'll say dihydrogen monoxide because you have 2 hydrogens and 1 oxygen. So if you want to sound fancy in the store, you go and say in Walmart, can I have the 3-gallon dihydrogen monoxide? Then you sound so educated. Ammonia is NH3, and if you want to sound fancy in the store or in Lowe's or Home Depot, you will say trihydrogen nitride. Trihydrogen nitride. Hydrogen comes before the nitrogen in the periodic table, so it will be, the name will have the hydrogen first. So trihydrogen, there are 3 hydrogens and a nitrogen, nitride. CO2, people call it dry ice, is very cold. That's just solid carbon dioxide. Carbon with 2 oxygens, dioxide. NaCl is table salt. We'll call it sodium chloride. N2O is the laughing gas used as anesthesia, and it can be called 2 nitrogens, dinitrogen monoxide, 1 oxygen, dinitrogen monoxide. calcium carbonate, CaCO3, found in chalk, limestone, marble, so that is calcium carbonate. And then calcium oxide, that is quicklime. Quicklime is used in agriculture to adjust the basicity of your soil, I believe. So calcium oxide is the name, and then you have calcium hydroxide, slaked lime. Which one is used in for basicity? I think it's calcium hydroxide, slaked lime, or one of them, or both. Slaked lime, that one is calcium hydroxide. Sodium hydrogen carbonate is the baking soda. Of course, you use that in baking. And the formula contains sodium, a hydrogen, and a carbonate. So sodium hydrogen carbonate, sodium carbonate with 10 waters, that's a hydrate. We just talked about hydrate. That's the washing soda. So it's a sodium and a carbonate, but with 10 H2O, so decahydrate. Magnesium pentahydrate, that one is also another hydrate. I just mentioned it's Epsom salt. Magnesium sulfate heptahydrate. Where do we use the Epsom salt? It's a hydrating compound used in birds, skin care, in bathing, agriculture, for magnesium deficiency, and as a drying agent. When dehydrated, you get MgSO4. That's anhydrous magnesium sulfate. It becomes a drying agent. So we call it magnesium sulfate heptahydrate because there are 7 portions of H2O. Hepta, 7 hepta. Magnesium hydroxide, milk of magnesia. Okay, it's magnesium hydroxide. Then you have calcium sulfate dihydrate. Dihydrate, that's your gypsum. Calcium sulfate dihydrate. Okay, those are the common names of these common molecules you see in day-to-day lives, and you have the systematic names and their molecular formulas.